Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mendel Center Connections. I'm Mike Nadolski, and I'm so pleased to have with me today the Browns from the African American History and Literature Gallery in Benton Harbor. So Sharon, and can I call you Mack or Mack? Okay.
Yes.
Well, thanks for being here. And we were just talking before we hit the record button about your event that you had last Saturday.
Yes.
For me, it was my first visit over to your gallery over on 725 Broadway. And I ran into a volunteer who works for us here at the Mendel Center, volunteers for us at the Mendel Center, Barb Radwald. And she grew up in that area, and it used to be, I guess, a Greek Orthodox church, the building that you're in. So
She told the history. Wow.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about your gallery, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but it's a great story. But tell us about your gallery and the work that you're doing over there.
Well, right now the gallery is a little over 2.5 years old. We opened the gallery on January 10th of 2018. Up until the effects of COVID, we were quite busy and hosted volunteers from around the country to do certain works at the gallery. We put on events to help teach history to people from all over the community, and we were having a really good time. We had a number in the schools, and we had a number of wonderful things going on. And of course, COVID came in upon us like a wave, and so we've had to scale down our operation hours, but we're still a viable entity in the community, trying to continue the work of helping out and providing a means of introducing knowledge and understanding about our history.
And one of the big things that we push at the gallery, of course, the history is filled with just wonderful things. A lot of those things, bless God, that came from the LMC. A lot of our books that you all were going technical, and you was releasing the actual books that you had, and we just scooped them right up. Mm-hmm. And so that has been just a wonderful blessing. But we really push, when we're talking about when the people come in, the history and how we use that as a tool for self-development. We tell them after we give them some of the wonderful accolades and things that these outstanding African-American people have done, is that, okay, most of these folks have passed on. Now we're interested in your history and how does that evolve? How does that come about? You should have some say. Everything, as we kind of brought up a little bit on Saturday at our past event, shouldn't be where you're just born into it or somebody else's legacy. It should be where you have a right. Voting is really happening right now, right? And so you should have a vote in your history, in your legacy. And so we have to talk about that. I think that history and legacies, I think it takes some thought and planning, because if you don't kind of plan for it and the way you want your story, your history to fan out, then unfortunately the vicissitudes of life will kind of start coming in and dictating redirecting, things that you really didn't want to happen. And so it's very important that we push self-development within the gallery. We do that with the students before the virus and all. The students would come to us and they would just always be so excited, and the teachers and the principal would be so amazed at their behavior, because they would just be listening and then they're raising, they're interacting, the quiet ones. And I think it's the environment. I think the surrounding of the gallery brings that out in the students. So whenever the school sometimes would say, can you come and present at our school? And I said, we try not to do that, especially before the virus, because we've seen the atmosphere and how the children adapt to the gallery. And they just seem to fall right into respect and honor of those wonderful people that have laid foundations. They seem to understand it immediately when they come in.
Well, it's such a nice mixture of literature and art, and every facility has its own vibe, and your vibe is so positive and
Exactly.
so culturally based that it's a wonderful place. You know, you're going into a unique place when you
Yes.
come in there, and there's so much to look at and experience, and it's a very welcoming place. And so I can see why kids would be absorbed, and especially African American kids coming into a museum feel kind of place that's for them in many
Yes.
ways, so they can
Yes.
see themselves and their own history and maybe some possibilities for their future.
Yes.
I don't want to dwell on the event Saturday, but that was my first experience there, and it was such a nice mixture too of people's perspectives and the conversations that happened casually, but then also during the formal presentation. And you put out there about this being a safe place for difficult conversations, for people to emote, to experience their own, and you paved the way by being facilitators that showed that, didn't just talk about it, but you actually showed that by sharing your own stories. It's such a powerful work that you're doing, and you're also now doing something. At least Saturday was a housing tour as well. Talk a little bit about how that came together and the value of that.
Well, there has been many, we call them miracles on Broadway.
Yeah.
I wish I could say Saturday, when we got home and we were kind of, coming down from the mountaintop about the Saturday's event. I said, I wish I could say that was, oh my God, like that was the best. That was so out there, right? But we've had a lot of out there's, and that's why we continue to keep those doors open and do whatever we can whenever we get a call, is because we see the impact that it has to the people. If we can get it to the people, it's wonderful. And that's what happened Saturday. Because of those folks said yes to being inclusive in our fundraiser for the 4 homes that Quality Affordable Homes in Mosaic has purchased. And these are homes that are boarded up. They don't look good. They don't smell good. The lawns don't look good. And they're going to transform those homes into quality, affordable homes for some residents here in the Benton Harbor area. And so we were very proud when they called, and to get a call like that, where you're not, sometimes you're most of your job sometimes is hustling, trying to bring things in. But when things start calling you and knocking on your door, and they're very wonderful things that you can partner with to say, I'd like to be a part of giving that gift to the community. That was the kind of call this was. And so we immediately says, yes, we would love to be a part of the gallery, to start the tours off with hosting a topic of segregation, linking that to the whole home ownership thing, and getting understanding why there could be an honest to truth reason why it looks like African Americans are behind in home ownership. And one of it is because we spent quite a bit of lifetime born into, I say, things that were already in place to keep us from home ownership. And so transferring that land right, because when you talk about home ownership, I kind of like to talk about land and property, because that's what it really is. You build something on the land, the home. But that land ownership can really help a family to excel economically. And without that turnover within a family or legacy, it can put you behind. It can keep you behind. So being involved in Saturday's event for fundraiser for these 4 homes, and continuing the partnership as these 4 homes are transformed, we will be at the table. And so we're really thrilled about that.
We're in this pretty unique time right now with the pandemic, obviously, and everybody having to face, the only thing that's constant is change in life, right? Anyway, but such a period.
Trying to keep up.
Yeah, such a period of change with the pandemic, and then the ongoing social injustice issues, but a reawakening that has really happened in our
Yeah.
country and really around the world in the last several months. At this, in a way, a crossroads, and people needing to decide, which side they're on, which of three sides. I was just listening to a podcast on the arts, and I know we're on the social justice, arts and social justice committee together too.
Yes.
And but I was just listening to a podcast yesterday, and it's you're either as cultural institutions, particularly larger ones, are still coming out of a place of white fragility in a way, where it's primarily, and this is a deeper conversation than a 10-minute.
Well, it's all
I'm
about
trying to hit a little moment.
no, we love information.
It's history.
Yeah,
I'm trying to hit a little moment here, but in this consultant was talking about organizations that they're working with, and 50% of them actually are ready to be anti-racist, which is where I would say the Mendel Center is, and Krasl Art Center, and several of the other organizations. I mean, we are looking at reinventing ourselves and making sure that we don't have anything systemically that's keeping us in a place we don't want to be.
that's it.
We inherited
By choice, by vote.
Yes. And then there's others that are 25% of organizations are sitting there trying to figure it out. Like, what does this really mean? And then there's the 25% that are sitting in this white fragility place where it seems threatening and
I'm good.
Something status quo is good. Something will have to be given up. And so these are challenging times. There's different ways to frame it, but when you look holistically at the work that you're doing, where does your passion come from? What keeps you going? What inspires you?
I'm going to be quick about this because I certainly want Mr. Brown to have a word. I happened to open an old document this morning that I had put together for one reason or another. And in that document, just this morning, I was reminded that how we first ventured back to our hometown. And it's been a hot minute now since when I first came back in 2005, starting just project before we relocated. The reason is because we're in California reading the governor's, I think it was Graham at the time, that task force team report. In every category of health and education, economics, it was like below the 50%. Graduates from our high school, we're like, this is insane. How did our hometown become this way? And we looked at ourselves. This is just not white folks having to take a look. It's Black folks having to take a look too, people of color. And we looked and said, because you're in California, you got your goods and you left. And you continued to get your goods somewhere else, and you never took any goods back home. Where you came from. And so we said, what can we do? That's the question. Now you got the report, now it's you. What can I do? And so immediately, I in particular had a schedule at the time that allowed me to kind of maneuver. And I began to come back and just do what I could. And that has evolved in us being here with the gallery, which was one of the visions. The second vision hasn't come yet, but we're still holding for it, to do what we could. And so we're really amazed, like anyone else that's sitting in that audience Saturday, at the outcome of the fact that all we just said was, yes, we want to do something.
Which is what it really takes. It's an individual commitment, an individual conviction to make up your mind to either do or not to do, because it's easy to conform to the status quo once you elevate yourself through self-development and education and so forth, and you can become part of that element within society where you have your life all planned out for you. You're raising your kids, you're taking care of your home, but what are you really doing for people who have not reached that level of social existence?
Right.
And is there something that you can do, which we believe rather, that everyone, no matter what level we may be in our society, can actually make a difference.
Yeah, because we need help. We love all help and partnerships.
It's just a matter of making up your mind that you want to try and do something.
Well, I mean, me personally over here in the Mendel Center and Lake Michigan College, we're very glad to be connected with you folks, and look forward to the learning and the journey that we're on, the continuation of the journey. So we've come to the end of our moment here, but not our moments together, for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're thankful for the relationship.
Yes.
So if people want to get in touch with you, the African American History and Literature Gallery at 725 Broadway, and you have some reduced hours now, but there's activities and you have I see you have
an email address.
Site. Yep.
Yes. And there is a Facebook site as well.
Okay, I was going to ask about that. Okay, so you can look for them on Facebook.
We're working on it to improve it. You know, we want it to look like yours.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can help with that.
Oh, all right.
Sharon and Mack Brown from the African American History and Literature Gallery, thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you, Michael.
God bless you all.